This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and William Hill. Delighted to be joined with Spencer Oliver. Mate, I've been trying to catch you all week. You've been running off from me. How's things, mate?
Yeah, I've been darting off, haven't I? Yeah, no, it's all good, mate. All good. Look, we're here at the weigh-in, Caroline Dubois versus Rodriguez. Yeah, looking forward to the show tomorrow night. It's going to be a good show. I love fights here at the York Hall. Do you know what? There's something magical about this place where it brings the best out in fighters, and I'm expecting a good show tomorrow.
You see this as a stepping stone for Caroline Dubois, the IBO title, potential bigger world titles on the horizon for as we look forward to the next year.
It is a stepping stone, but you've got to remember she's only had 7 fights, you know, so it's a massive stepping stone for her because Rodriguez is experienced. She comes with a lot of experience. She's coming off a draw actually with the Olympic 2016 silver medalist away on foreign soil, so she travels well. It's a tough fight for Caroline, you know, because Rodriguez is one of those girls that likes to push forward, likes a high work rate, typical Mexican sort of style. But that could be her undoing with someone like Caroline Dubois, as we know is like spiteful with both hands, man. Like Caroline Dubois could be the leading light and the girl that like flies a flag for British women's boxing. I think she's that good. And we'll find out a lot more tomorrow night. But yeah, you know, props to her for taking this fight, stepping up. But women's boxing, they do that more. I love the fact that politics don't get in the way of women's boxing. They go up and down the weights and they take the fights that they should take and whatnot. So it's a good fight, man, tomorrow, yeah.
So we'll run through the card. Not only do we have Caroline Dubois out in the women's boxing, we see Fran Hennessy making her debut. Obviously from a fighting family, no introduction to there. Is it good to see Sky pushing women's boxing and giving great opportunity to someone like Fran and Caroline?
Absolutely. You know, you go back to October 2022 when we had that historic night at the O2 with Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, and you know what those girls done. I mean, the show was all cancelled due to the passing of the Queen, and the whole show come back a couple of months later, and they all put on a spectacular event. I think women's boxing is evolving so much. Yeah, it's good for the sport, but also, you know, it's entertaining for the fans as well.
Absolutely. Moving on from other boxing topics, as we like to talk about. Unfortunate news this morning that came out as Eddie Hearn said that the site deal for Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder is off. After hearing that it's done, it's locked in, it's sort of not seems to be the case anymore. Disappointing to hear that news?
Yeah, I am disappointed to hear that news because it's a fight that we've all wanted. I think that was one of the best fights in heavyweight boxing right now. You know, stylistically, I think it would have been a great fight. So I'm gutted that that's all sort of fallen through. And this is all down to everybody waiting for that big Saudi money. And unfortunately, the fight's fallen through. But look, Zhilei Zhang's just had that victory over Joe Joyce. Good victory, raised his profile even more. You know, Anthony Joshua's looking for an opponent in December. Zhilei Zhang wants a homecoming. He would be up for that. It's a great fight. These two have got history going back to Olympics 2012. Joe Joyce beat Zhilei Zhang in the quarterfinals of that, had Zhang down, but it was a close fight, hard fight, 15-11 on the scorecards, I think. So that's a fight I'd like to see. Anthony Joshua versus Zhilei Zhang. That would be a great fight.
We'll get on to Zhang in a minute, but do you ever think we will see AJ v Wilder, or do you think that was the last chance now?
No, I think we'll see it. I think we have to see it. You know, it's all about, you know, creating legacies, modern eras and all that, and we need to see the best fighting the best. So we need that. We need Fury versus Alexander Usyk. We need AJ versus Wilder. Do you know what I mean? We need those fights, Wilder versus Usyk, because that's how you create legacies. You know, in the history of the sport, that's how it is. And if we don't get those fights, it's going to be a shame.
Sticking on the topic of Zhang and Joyce, Tony Bellew came out and talked about and made comments that he didn't think Joe Joyce would beat Fabio Wardley now. Does it show how much things change after 2 losses, that the flip has entirely switched?
Yeah, I think that maybe a bit harsh that he doesn't think that he'd beat Fabio Wardley now. Joe Joyce is, you know, he's been operating at a high level. But what we found out was that he got found out against Zhilei Zhang. But some people just get their bogeyman. You know, it's one of those things. He's a big southpaw, Zhang. Joe Joyce, as we know, is what his name says. He's the juggernaut. He steamrolls through his opponents. I think the first fight he made that mistake of thinking that he could drop weight, come in really low, like 18 stone or whatever it was, and use his movement and try and take Zhang into the second half of the fight. by doing that and dropping that weight, he lost his punch resistance. He looked even more lethargic, and it worked against him. So this time he's coming at 20 stone 1, thinking he could bulk up, hold the ground with Zhang. But what he found out was Zhang's a clinical finisher, clinical puncher, you know. And Zhang, what he done was Joe Joyce come out, moving to his left, leaning over to the side. Good fighters like Zhilei Zhang have got that adaptability. He worked it out very quickly, and he made Joe pay the price. You know, what we do know about Joe is that he mainly relies on his punch resistance, and in the last couple of fights, the punch resistance has not looked that good. So we got to see. It's a tough road back for Joe. I love Joe, by the way. He's like, you know, he's one of the purest, nicest geezers in boxing. So I hope that he can come back, and I hope that he might be just Zhilei Zhang, sort of his bogeyman. You know, respect for him for taking the fight with Zhang in the first place, which was a massive risk, and then going into the immediate rematch was even bigger risk, because he now finds himself in that position. You go, where does he go? Where does he come back? How does he come back? Maybe Daniel Dubois coming off that Alexander Usyk loss. Maybe that makes sense for them two to go there. But it's, like I say, it's a difficult road back for him right now. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
So Spencer Oliver, thank you for your time, and all the best of the weekend, mate. Appreciate the time. Thank you. Cheers.